Today we are going to restart a series we have done in the past on this channel. I think I started it back in 2018, but we go through each playoff driver and we give a case for why they will win the championship. We look at what they've done this year. We look at the different racetracks they've done well at or that they've won at. We look at the schedule, the playoff schedule, see what tracks each driver does well at, how many wins they have at each track, whatever it may be, and we always start at the top of the grid. So in the 2021 playoff standings, we are starting at the top with Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson has been insane this year. That is an understatement. I mean, it's his first full-time season since 2019. Of course, 2020 he did not compete in the full season after being fired from Chip Ganassi Racing, but he came back, and he came back in Hendrick Motorsports equipment, and he has been on fire. He has done well at every single type of racetrack we've been to. It seems like 5 wins on the season. Let's see, he's won at Watkins Glen most recently. He's won at Sonoma, Nashville. He won the Texas All-Star race. I don't know if that counts, but he won the Coca-Cola 600 and he won at Las Vegas. So those are his wins, and different types of packages, different kinds of tracks. Let's look at it. So obviously in terms of the wins that we just talked about, he's done really well on the intermediate tracks on that 550 package. The 550 package used to be very important in the playoffs. It was the championship race. It was the majority of the races in the playoffs, but the playoff schedule has changed. The packages have changed. And so now the 550 isn't as important as it used to be, but it is still there. If we look at the schedule, we see it in second round at Las Vegas, and then we see it in the third round, the round of 8, twice at Texas and Kansas. But other than that, that's the only time we see it. That is the only time we see the 550 package. Larson has wins with the 750 package, 2 of those on road courses, 1 at Sonoma, 1 at Watkins Glen, and the other one coming at Nashville Superspeedway, which was a 1 1/4 mile racetrack, flat oval. So he won there as well. And it's not like he's just sneaking into some wins or getting some late race strategy calls. He's been dominating races, and there are a lot of races he could have still won if, late race cautions didn't happen or whatever. He's been extremely good at the majority of racetracks everywhere we've gone. He's at a career high for most laps led in a single season, most wins in a single season. I mean, he's setting all these personal records for most of whatever it may be in a season. We're not even to the playoffs yet. We still got 11 races yet. This is being filmed before the Daytona finale. So, whatever happens there, I don't know if he's going to win that or whatever. At the rate we're going, he might. But anyways, that's beside the point. On the season, he has 14 top 5s, which is the most in NASCAR this season. 18 top 10s, which is also the most in NASCAR this season. And he has led 1,566 laps. He has 12 stage wins, which is the most this season. I mean, everything that has to do with winning and leading, just assume Kyle Larson has the most this season. He has been insane, off the charts, everywhere we've gone. He's done incredible. So if we look at the playoff schedule, usually in this series, you'll see as we go lower on the list and stuff, as we get to some of these drivers that don't have as many points, playoff points is a heavy emphasis for most of these drivers. With the current system, the knockout elimination, these playoff points are so important. And as we saw last year, there's no such thing as too many playoff points. Last year, Kevin Harvick had a 40-point gap going into the final race at Martinsville and was eliminated. Kevin Harvick had 60-something points at the beginning of the round of 8 last year because he had 9 wins. He had 15 or something stage wins. Kevin Harvick had so many playoff points. People put him in the championship 4 as the first thing on their bracket. They didn't put him in the second, third, fourth round. They put him straight to the championship 4. That's how confident they were because of all those playoff points and because of how good he was. So there's no such thing as too many playoff points if you're Kyle Larson. Go get as many wins, stage wins as you can. But the point being, Larson's got so many more playoff points than other people that for these first round and even the second round, I don't think he has to worry too much about points. I think he'll be good enough. But if we do look at these rounds, we look at this first round. This first round consists of Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol. Darlington he has not won at, but he has dominated some races in the past here. With Chip Ganassi Racing, he led a ton of laps at Darlington. He never won the Southern 500, but he has led a ton of laps there. In the spring, I guess that was technically the spring, mid-May or whatever, whenever that race was, Larson did get a runner-up finish. He did not lead any laps. Truex dominated that race, but he did get a runner-up finish. He did good there, which, that's good enough in the playoff format. But Richmond, he does have a race win at back in 2017. He won in the Chip Ganassi Racing car, so he has a win at Richmond. And then Bristol is just like Darlington. He's led a lot of laps there. He's got some poles there, but he has not won there. So that first round, we're not even going to talk about it. I'm not worried about it at all. If he gets eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, I will... I don't know. I'll do something crazy. I'll figure that out. He's not getting eliminated in the first round, so that's not even a topic. Second round. This is where it's probably going to close, but Larson's still going to have a big points gap, so I'm still not worried here, but there are a couple wild cards in here. Now look at the first race in this round, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is the race that Kyle Larson dominated earlier this year. He won at Las Vegas earlier this year. Only his fourth race with Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, it was an amazing performance by him, but I expect him to run well here. I expect him to lead laps. I expect him to collect stage points. I expect him to compete for the win. So I expect him to win. I expect him to win. That's a broad statement. Not really, but you get my point. Anyways, I expect him to do well at Las Vegas like he did in the spring. The competition has stepped up. Obviously, Joe Gibbs Racing has looked really good at the intermediates as of recently, so I'm sure they will be fighting Kyle Larson for the win. But even if he finishes behind all four Joe Gibbs guys and maybe a top 15 here does enough for him points-wise if he gets some stage points and stuff. So, yeah, Talladega is my biggest concern for Kyle Larson in the playoffs. He has had no success in the Cup Series at these plate races. 0 wins, a couple of flips, lots of wrecks, some broken ribs. I mean, everything has gone wrong for Kyle Larson at the super speedways in his career. So I'm expecting a DNF there, but he has enough points. He'll do good enough at Vegas that I think he'll still be fine going into the Roval. And then the Roval, obviously Larson has been tremendous on the road courses this year. 2 wins, as I said earlier, at Sonoma and Watkins Glen. He also has a runner-up finish at Circuit of the Americas. He also has a top 5 at Indianapolis. So he has done very well on the road courses, so I'm not too concerned about the Roval. And also in the past at the Roval with Chip Ganassi Racing, he has led laps. He has won stages, so I'm not too concerned about the Roval. Talladega is a big concern, but he's got enough playoff points right now. He's going to add playoff points by this point. He's going to do well enough at Las Vegas and the Roval. I think he advances, guys. I think he advances still. Round of 8. Martinsville is my biggest concern, but Texas, he won the All-Star race. They did do a slightly different package for the All-Star race than they do for the normal 550. I think they did like a 500 horsepower, maybe a different spoiler, but Larson did really good in this race with all the inverts and all the switches and all the chaos that happened in that race. Not the chaos, but all the switching and the inverts and the pitting and all that kind of stuff. Larson found a way to get out front and win this race. He may not have had the best car, but he did lead laps and he won the Texas All-Star race. He has had some good Texas runs in the past. He's had some bad Texas runs in the past. Texas has been really hit or miss for Kyle Larson. But the 550 package, as I said, Larson has excelled at this year. He's led laps at Michigan, Kansas, Las Vegas, Charlotte. It doesn't matter which track we've gone to, but the 550 package, he has done very well. So I expect him to do very well at Texas, lead some laps, get stage points, all that stuff. Kansas, he dominated this race in the spring, but some late race cautions shuffled him back in the order, really messed up his chances at winning the race. So yeah, just like with Texas, I expect him to run up front. I expect him to lead laps. I expect him to do well. He has not won at either Kansas or Texas, but at Kansas, he has gotten close to winning there before, but has not gotten it done. But Texas, he's got a runner-up at Texas, I believe, in 2017, but other than that, he hasn't really competed for a win there. And then we go to Martinsville, and this one, I'm not exactly concerned, but it is not his strongest track. He has had a few good runs. I think maybe he got a top 5 in the spring, maybe a top 10, but the 750 package he's still done good at. As I said, he's been good everywhere except the super speedways this year. He's done really good. He's been up front, leading laps, contending. So I think he could do enough here. This is a little bit of a concern for me, Martinsville, compared to how well he does on some of these other tracks. Like when it comes to short tracks, like Bristol, he does really well. It's a high-speed, high-bank track. Martinsville, he just hasn't done as well at in his career. He's got a few top 5s, maybe a few top 10s, but it's never been a track that he's excelled at. So that's a slight concern, but I think he, in the Hendrick equipment, with his teammates that have run well at Martinsville, Chase Elliott obviously won this race last year, William Byron, a runner-up a couple of years ago at Martinsville, I think he can lean on them enough to really get some information and get some help there to do well enough at Martinsville to advance to Championship 4. Championship 4 is at Phoenix. Larson, just kind of like some of these other tracks, he has not won here, but he has had good runs here. I think he's got a runner-up here. I mean, he's led laps here, so it's such a toss-up. With this format, the championship race is such a toss-up. It doesn't matter what you've done. Larson could win all 9 races in the playoffs prior to this. It doesn't matter. He could still lose the championship race. He could still blow it. So as for Phoenix, if they just show up and be themselves, they show up at the right time, they show speed, they run up front, they can overcome anything, I feel like. And this is the team to beat. Regardless of how well they do in the first 9 races, if they get to the Championship 4, they are going to be the team to beat. They've been so good this year no matter where they've gone. They've won so many races. They've led so many laps. The 5 team, Kyle Larson, that is the team to beat. I cannot stop saying that, but it's true. They are the best team in the Cup Series right now. Hendrick Motorsports has been the best organization as a whole. I expect there to be multiple Hendrick Motorsports cars, so that could be a slight disadvantage because usually, like, when one car from one team makes a championship 4, all the focus from the organization is on that one car, how to make that car the best car possible to bring home a championship for the organization. But I don't think that'll be a problem. We've seen teams with multiple cars in the championship 4 before win the title, so I expect nothing less. I expect Kyle Larson to do extremely well in this race if he does make it to the championship 4. But once again, he could blow a tire on lap 1 and finish 4th in the standings after dominating the season. So, yeah, in conclusion, playoff points are still important. He may have 50 or 60 right now and still trying to add more with the regular season championship and more race wins, but it doesn't matter. We saw what happened with Harvick last year, so Larson cannot slack off. He's got to continue to go out and try to win everything, like he's done. The round of 8 is my biggest concern in terms of maybe getting eliminated, and Martinsville is that weak point in that round, but I'm still not too concerned for him. I think he will do well enough at Texas and Kansas to kind of carry on, add enough points to add on to those bonus points that he won't have to worry about Martinsville. And as for Phoenix, in this format, it's a toss-up, guys. I really don't know what else to say, so if they can just be themselves, I think they've got a shot. But this was probably the easiest one to make for me for this type of video. I mean, we just talked about Larson, how good he's been this year. He's got so many wins, 5 wins this year, plus the All-Star win. They've been so good this year. But, yeah, that's why Kyle Larson will win the championship in the 2021 season. Tomorrow will be Martin Truex Jr., and we will talk about his season. We will talk about how he's done this year, his race wins, and all that stuff. So, yeah, see you tomorrow. Like, subscribe, share. And, yeah, I'll make a playlist for this so you can see them all together once they're all uploaded and stuff.